Can
So
you
I have a
find
one
these?
bedroom. Yeah, I have a one bedroom. I have I don't take very good pictures, but I have some pictures. I'm actually in the bedroom part with a little desk right now. It's a pretty big bedroom. So I have a bedroom, a kitchen, and the kitchen, in many Italian condos, apartments, and even houses, the kitchen and the living room are like one and the same. But my kitchen, I wasn't big enough, and I actually asked the landlord, it comes furnished, but I asked them to take out the big kitchen table.
Mhm.
In Italy, that's a big gathering. It's
Yeah,
just me. I didn't
yeah,
need a big gathering, and I bought a small little table that I pushed to the side
sure.
so I feel like I have more room. And everything's updated. I have a nice bathroom, and I have a nice balcony that faces, I'm on like one of the main streets in Pineto that comes into Pineto. And this apartment, I'm paying 600 euros a month,
Okay.
which is on the high end,
Yeah.
according to Lotta, for this size.
So today we are heading over to one of my faves, the beautiful country of Italy with my new friend, Kathy Moreland. Kathy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, doing good. I'm just kind of, sipping some coffee, waking up here a little bit, but let's start. I really appreciate you taking the time out to share this information with the viewers. Many people have Italy on their radar. Italy is just a dream country for many. And still, there's a lot of people out there that just don't see Italy as a possibility. It's only a dream in their mind. And so hopefully this podcast will help a lot of the viewers understand that, if you really are considering Italy, it is a very good possibility. Um,
Yep.
so let's start with your backstory. Tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you chose Italy, how you landed in Italy, and what part of Italy, the region, are you living in?
I am from Texas. I have really lived there the majority of my life, maybe except for 3 years where I spent a little time in Chicago and LA. But, I'm a native Texan, and I am a retired educator, even though it was a second career. So, because I previously had run a business with my ex. So, anyway, as most people know, retired educators don't have a plethora of money when they retire, whether, so I started looking into like videos and things like this about people. Where do people retire? I knew I could not stay in Houston. I'm from Houston. I had a townhouse, but I knew on my pension, on my retirement, that I couldn't stay there. So I really, a couple years ago, I guess 3 years ago, I started researching, and I looked, in the United States, I looked in Central America, and some things popped up about Europe, Portugal, Spain, Italy. And so I decided to join some Facebook groups to learn more, just to be an observer. And I joined like expats. And as you know, there's multiple ones on Facebook. And I just sat back and watched. And not one, Italy wasn't necessarily on my forefront, although my grandfather was Italian. All of a sudden, I saw information about dual citizenship by descent. And
Mhm.
that sent me down a different rabbit hole, started researching that, and then also other visas, other ways to get to, whether it was Portugal, Spain, Italy. And
Yeah.
so I learned about the elective residency visa. So that's really, as I did this research, I'm like, man, I could go to Italy. I started researching, the cost of living and all that stuff. And learned about the dual citizenship, and that's what got me here. I, I'm applying in Italy. I was going to apply in the States at the Houston consulate, and I was trying to get an appointment for like 2 years. I wasn't
Mhm.
retiring until this year. I knew I was, or 2024. I knew I
Yeah.
was going to retire summer of 2024. It started to get closer to that time where I'm like, I'm going to quit getting an appointment because now I'm going to apply in Italy because it's time for me to go. I knew I was going to go shortly after my retirement and after my youngest daughter got married. I had to wait till her wedding and
Hmm.
then Christmas, and then I'm here. So now I'm applying in Italy. So I don't know if I covered everything you just
Yeah.
said.
No, no, that's great. But
That's what got me here.
in what region did you choose?
Oh, okay. So I chose the Abruzzo region, which is on the on the East Coast. Most Americans are more familiar with the West Coast, right? Because that's where
Mhm.
all the tourists go, all, Rome and Milan and the Amalfi Coast and the Abruzzo was where my ancestors are from. And
Okay.
once again, I started studying it just like I did everything else. And it's on the Adriatic seaside. And then through these groups, I kind of met some people online that were from this area. So I knew I was going to start here. But now that I've learned more and got here, I know this is where I'm going to stay. I know I'm not going to leave this region. It has everything to offer.
Wow, that's a wonderful story, Kathy. And I mean, you've returned home to your
Hmm.
you've returned home to
Hmm.
Abruzzo. That's amazing. Let me
Hmm.
ask you this quick question. So you're going to do the Italian citizenship through descent on your mother's side. Did you hire a lawyer to assist you? And there's like a also, I know there's like a 1945 thing when it's
1948. Yeah.
or 1948 thing
Yeah.
on when it's on
Yeah.
when it's on your maternal side.
Yeah.
Are you going through that process?
No, I have no court cases. My lineage is very straightforward,
Okay.
in the sense that, first of all, because my great grandfather never naturalized. That actually helps me. Then you don't have to worry
Oh,
about. I mean, I
yes.
have all the documents, but it shows like, okay, I didn't have to worry about my grandfather being a minor and all the things that people are struggling with some cases now.
Yeah.
Um, So I don't have any of those cases. I did not need a lawyer. Some of these Facebook groups, I just can't even say enough about how helpful they
Sure.
are. They have written guides, seriously, because I knew
Yeah.
nothing. And so, no, I've done it all pretty much DIY, with the exception you get like a genealogy group help me find. I started this process not even knowing the town that my great grandfather came from,
Yeah. Wow.
because yes, I didn't even, and these people that love, that's their thing, genealogy, they helped me find. I had the ship's manifest, and I could say, this is what him and 8 other guys put on there. And
Mm.
so people started searching, found it. And then, it just went from there. I couldn't believe that, because that's really the hardest thing, is you got to start with, where do we start? And my
Yeah.
mother never knew anything. She used
Mhm.
to say, oh, I think they were from North Italy. Well, we're not. We're more, people say South, but I think it's more central. But
Yes.
anyway, so yeah, I have no court cases, doing it all myself. Now that I'm here, I have someone that's translating for me with the Comune,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
obviously I'm learning Italian, but not enough to be able to handle that situation. So I do have a translator that goes with me to the appointments. Yes. Other
Okay.
than that, it's DIY. You can do it if
Wow.
you don't have a court case.
Yeah, that's so great. And I could tell that you've been on a really fun journey. It's been fun. And I love the fact that you're there, you're diving into the language, you're excited about learning and
Mhm.
that's really the fun aspect of moving abroad, especially to Italy. Here's the big thing, like you mentioned a point, and this is the sad reality too, that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people that think that people that are leaving the US and people that are leaving Canada are wealthy. Oh, and they're coming and they're moving to these places. And I'm like, oh no, actually, there's a lot of people that worked their butts off and weren't able to save a lot of money because they're working paycheck to paycheck because everything is so expensive in the United States and
Mhm.
Canada now. So people are
Mhm.
just leaving in droves because, during their retirement years to find a place where they can go live comfortably because they won't be if they stay. And that's the sad reality right now of a lot of people in the US and Canada that a lot of people don't realize.
Yes, that's exactly right. When friends and people started finding out that I was taking this journey, they're like, what? And I said, y'all, it's not a necessity. This was the joke with my family. I have siblings and I have 3 grown daughters. And the joke was, well, I can either move somewhere that I can afford and it be a good place that people want to come visit, or I need to find 12 friends and family members. I come live with each of you for a month,
Yeah. Yeah.
run your errands, and then rotate and say, see you next January. And everyone would laugh, and there was
Yeah.
a I could be on the list, but you don't want to do that. So now, luckily, I picked a place, and I'm going to be lucky if I'll have an empty house because people want to come, want to come, want to come, want to come.
Yeah, and another great thing about living in Italy or anywhere in that particular region is that there's so much you got a couple, two or three really affordable airlines where you can fly
Hmm.
anywhere for practically nothing. You want to do a
Hmm.
weekend trip to Paris, you probably pay 40, $50 round trip. On
Yes.
Ryanair, you want to go to Athens, you want to go to Malta, you want to go to you have access to all of these amazing places and it doesn't cost hardly anything to access
Mm.
them. It's right there.
Mm.
That's the beauty of living in that pocket. Because if you go to places, like say, Central America or Mexico, it's still costly to get over to Paris. It's still costly to get over to Portugal. It's costly to fly to Greece. But man, when you live in the heart of it there, you can every
Mm.
weekend you can go check out
So,
these places and you can find round trip tickets for 40, 50, $60 a round trip. It's
yes.
it's really
Yes.
wild.
I just looked up for my cousin because I was telling them that it's very affordable to fly from the States to London, right?
Mhm.
If you pick Rome is this year is going to be a little expensive because of the Jubilee.
Yes.
But if you're trying to get here, so I told her there's Ryanair has a flight from one flight a day from London, not Heathrow, the other airport, to Pescara, which is our capital in Abruzzo. So that's where
Mhm.
our regional airport is.
Yes.
35 euros. 35 euros.
Yeah. That's where
And
I'm
you're there in
saying.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a buddy lives in Rome, and he's like, back in the day, everybody just took the Euro They jumped on the train to travel
Mhm.
everywhere, and now nobody's taking even the train because it's so cheap to fly. So it's smart.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
smart. That's a great hack tip for people that are like, yeah, we want to go to Italy, but we don't want to pay the high cost to get over there right now. Fly to London and then
Hmm.
hop a flight on Ryanair to Italy. You're going to save some money.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's really great. Well, Kathy, let's dive into the visa requirements for the retirees
Okay.
watching. There's an income requirement to qualify. What can you share about the visa, the retirement?
So, for pensioners, what they refer to in Italy, retirees, there is a visa that is called the Elective Residency Visa, ERV for short. That's the acronym. And from my understanding, and really you just provide financial information. You do need to have a lease or a property here. So you need that proof, right? You need to be able to present that, not after the fact when you go to your consulate. You need a lease. Um, I would encourage everyone to go ahead and apply for a codice fiscale. That's your tax code, like your social security number.
Hmm.
If you do that you're going to need it no matter what if you're coming over here. And
Yeah.
I see people get over here and they don't have it yet. I'm like, I was one of the first things, I didn't know any better. I just did it. But anyway, that just saves some time. And then any kind of financial records, depending on the consulate, they might want a few years tax records. They might want to, and then what they want to see is your passive income.
Hmm.
And so, if it's Social Security or a pension, you know how you can print out a letter that says Kathy's going to get $1,500 every month, or
Yes.
she's going to get whatever she's going to get, right? That's prove it. I know there's some um, back and forth about people that have portfolios.
Hmm.
I think the government, Italian government, really wants to see a constant income because I could have $1 million invested, but I move here and I could spend it all on and have no income. Does that make sense? So
Yes. Yes.
whether I mean, I'm not an accountant, but I've heard people say, well, you might need to put some in an annuity. So you show that
Hmm.
you're going to they want a constant income. And the requirements have, also people say, well, this consulate says this is usually you can see it on their website, but I've heard anywhere from 31,000 approximately to like I don't know, 34 to 35.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
some people say, oh, if it's a couple, you both have to have that. Some people say, no, the couple you get a discount. So that part I can't speak to, but it
Yeah.
should be on. your particular consulate website,
Yeah.
the requirements.
Yeah, that's great information. It is approximately it's safe to say 35,000, I think, for an individual.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
did a podcast with Giancarlo, who's a Italian lawyer that works for Lexity. They do
okay,
the immigration work, and he breaks it all down. So for the viewers,
that's good.
we do
Yeah,
have that specific area in another video, which I'll put in the link below. But
good.
question, you mentioned that you need a rental that you need to show, but you need to have a place to live before moving over there. How does that work?
Well, you need to have the to for to get that visa. They want to see that at the consulate that you already have a lease agreement. So
Mhm.
I know that's a struggle for some people because they're like, how do I get one? Or, so if they don't have the opportunity to come over here to
Yes.
look and meet with people, then you really need to find someone. Real estate works very differently over here than it does in the States.
Yeah.
And you might need to find somebody that's like maybe not an agent, but what do we call it? Like a property coordinator. So I
Yeah.
had told you about my friend Laura who does that. She's sponsored by a real estate agent, so they can do any paperwork, but she kind of helps people. She's Italian American,
Hmm.
but she's really lived in Italy longer than she ever lived in the States.
Okay.
She helps. Like if you say, okay, we need to find an apartment in Abruzzo, or, she'll start asking, because sometimes it's just a sign on the balcony.
Yes.
Not
Right.
everybody lists their properties. So if you don't have the opportunity to come over and look, like I did this past summer, I came over for 3 weeks, then you really need to reach out and find some people, somebody that will help you.
Okay.
And there's some relocation companies and stuff. I don't know what they charge. Uh, I just know people that will in some of our Facebook groups that would be glad to help and do it.
Mhm.
And it's,
So you went
so
over there and you explored, and then you found an apartment. Walk us through that process. How did you find the apartment, and then you signed a lease prior to even moving over there so that you could show, so you were paying rent in an apartment that you weren't in yet? Is that what happened?
not everybody does that, but that's what I did. So
Okay.
when I came over this summer, I really thought I might be in Sylvie. Look, that's where I stayed. But I looked at all the towns around, and I even had somebody. So I had somebody that said, "Hey, I have an apartment, but I can only rent it to you to May." So one of the problems in the coastal areas, and I say problem because it is this is where all the Europeans, Italians come vacation
Sure.
on the Adriatic seaside. They let all the Americans and other people go on the West Coast. They all come here. It's less expensive. So people like my landlord, he only rents this apartment out in the summer. He makes all his money in the
Sure.
summer,
Yeah.
shuts it down, doesn't have to worry about it. That's kind of the norm, right?
Yes.
That's more the norm than the okay. So finding I needed in like ERV applicants, you need at least a year lease. You can't
Okay.
say you really need a year lease. So in some towns, it's you're fine if you go in the mountains or the hills. That's not the same problem. You're going to get one like that. So
Sure.
there's a lot of people that love that environment. They want to. I'm not a big hiker. They're beautiful. I love to look at them, and I'll go up there. But that wasn't my
Sure.
ancestral town. I'm like, nope. But it's beautiful, and I'll come see my cousins. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's not for me. I want to be in the coast. So it's not a problem for everywhere, but it is a problem on the coast. So finding someone that will give it to you for a year. Some landlords, you're an American, same thing. They don't know. They can rent to an Italian that has a state contract, like a teacher or a
Hmm.
fireman. That's what that because those are like solid jobs, and
Yes.
I understand you want someone that has a constant income. So I totally understood the mentality. So when I couldn't find one in Sylvie, Delata had brought me over to Pineto, and she said, Kathy, it's going to be hard. She looked online. So one day I came and I just walked around town looking for signs on balconies. And I can't read. I can see the word for rental, but
Yep.
in small print it would say for summer. for summer,
for
for
summer.
summer, for summer. And I would just take a picture and then I'd expand it, delete that picture. And I came across one sign and it didn't say for summer. And I immediately sent it to Lotta because it wouldn't help me to message the person since my Italian it was limited.
Right.
And she called the guy and my landlord, and he has multiple apartments, and she just started negotiating. He was not sold on renting something for a whole year to an American, but I
Mhm.
FaceTimed with them. You know, he could see I was a real person. I used to be a teacher.
Yes.
I could send. So, you know what I had to end up doing? I paid him for a whole year in advance.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Okay. That's how I mean, you know, like I said, if I would have chosen maybe an inland
What?
town or something, I might not have had that issue. It might have been, you know, I could have gone to Monte. That's my ancestral town, a town of 300. I could have probably rented a townhouse for next to nothing, but I just didn't feel like I would be pursuing my happiness
Sure.
in there. You know,
Okay.
so you know, you give and take some. But yeah,
Yeah.
I signed a lease. I did pay. He wanted to start it in September. I could not come till the end of December, but I told Lotta if that's what it takes, that's what I'm going to do. Not everyone would do that, but I did
Yeah.
it.
No, that's great. So how much, so we'll dive right in then to the rentals there. So is that a one bedroom? Is it a studio or two bedroom? And then what are you paying per month? And what can
So
you
I have a
find
one
these?
bedroom. Yeah,
Mhm.
I have a one bedroom. I have I don't take very good pictures, but I have some pictures. I'm actually in the bedroom part with a little desk right now. It's a pretty big bedroom. So I have a bedroom, a kitchen, and the kitchen, you know, in many Italian condos, apartments, and even houses, the kitchen and the living room are like one and the same. But my kitchen, I wasn't big enough, and I actually asked the landlord, it comes furnished, but I asked them to take out the big kitchen table. You
Mhm.
know, in Italy, that's a big gathering. It's
Yeah.
just me. I didn't
Yeah.
need a big gathering, and I bought a small little table that I pushed to the side
Sure.
so I feel like I have more room. And everything's updated. I have a nice bathroom, and I have a nice balcony that faces, I'm on like one of the main streets in Pineto that comes into Pineto. And this apartment, I'm paying 600 euros a month,
Okay.
which is on the high end,
Yeah.
according to Lotta, for this size. But like I said, this guy, I was to convince him to sign me to a year lease. I have it through August. I really need it for my citizenship application. You know,
Yes.
I need to be settled, and I couldn't turn around and need a place in May or not have a place. So he needed to recoup his summer earnings, is
Mhm.
basically how we negotiated. For
Mhm.
me, 600 euros is nothing compared to what I would be paying in Houston. So
Sure.
I think it's all relative, right? When
Yes.
I, you know, my mortgage was affordable, but not all the other things like homeowners insurance in Texas and Florida are skyrocketing. Things like that were getting out of hand. So to
Yes.
me, I didn't think 600 euros, but Laura's saying, you know, he's just taking, you know, he's taking advantage. I said, well, right now, this is what I have to do, and I'm going to do it. And,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what have you learned as far as what rentals are actually going for around there?
So I think if you go, because I'm literally less than a block from the beach. This is
Okay.
like, you know, definitely this row. When I say row, like along this street that's close to the beach, everything is, you can tell every landlord's the same way. Everything's shuttered down. People aren't living. You go 2 blocks inland, and that's where all the locals live, right? Because the
Sure.
rent is less. You're not right on the beach. You're only a couple blocks from the beach. So I would think the average a one bedroom is probably more between 450.
Okay.
500 would be a max. Two bedroom might be like 500 euros. You go up in the hills and the mountains, you can get a whole townhouse for, I would say, 400 or 500 euros, like a, you know, uh, I call it a townhouse, but they would just call it a house.
Now, how far up in the hill would that be?
Probably, I don't know, three,
Oh,
four.
okay. So not far. You could
You
actually,
go 20, Yes, the higher up in the mountains or the small. I mean, what you're looking at is not how high you go, it's more the size of the town and the services available, right? If you're in a
Mhm.
smaller um town, and that they don't have as many services, or you don't always have public transportation, or not a lot, so it may be less. So I'm going to give you an example. I went up to a town called Vicente, beautiful little town, and we met some people, and they had bought um, it's a house, but for our purposes, would be, we would call it like a townhouse, right? It's up a couple stories. Um, and they bought it for, I think, under 20,000, maybe, but they need to, anything like that, you're going to redo a bunch.
Sure.
So they're redoing it, and then renting it out. And it is a two-bedroom, a kitchen, living room. Yes, two-bedroom, kitchen, living room, and then two balconies, one on each level. Beautiful view of the mountains, and they're going to rent it fully furnished for 600 euros. And so that's a newly renovated. The buildings are older, and Vicente has everything like market, bakery, butcher. Um, but I think it's one of those places you need a vehicle. I
Are
think there's
these,
a bus in, bus out, that kind of
yeah,
thing.
are these people from, where are they from? And are they just
So
like,
this couple we met, they're actually Turkish, and they have their own house not far, like 2 kilometers outside of Vicente. And I was with my friend Laura. She was looking, when I talk about a property coordinator, she was looking for something for someone that's moving here, and they really had liked, I guess they visited and they really liked Vicente. And we walked into the cafe, and there were so many English speakers, not just Americans, but some British that live in that community. So communities are quickly filling up on the whole rental thing.
mhm,
Right, like meaning less and less are becoming available. So
yeah.
this was a Turkish couple, and they are renting to I think it's an American couple. I don't think it's a British couple, but I went with her to go look at it, and I was going to introduce her to someone I had met this summer in Vicente.
Hmm. All right, great information. All right, well, let's move on to utilities. What do you think people are paying per month for, like, and let's look at like a cell phone, Wi-Fi, and then the electric, water. Do they do propane out there, for gas? What can you share on that?
Okay, so my cell phone, I kept for um, when you come over from the States, I keep my bank and stuff is still in the United States.
Mhm.
So I need to keep my American number just on the side for all those verification codes.
Yeah,
Once
I
again, this is
I
things I
know.
learned. Yeah, this is what I learned from all these groups. I wouldn't have known. I mean, people go, "How do you know this?" I said, "Cuz I'm on Facebook with all these groups, right, that help."
Mhm.
So I did a Mint Mobile. It's
Mhm.
cheap. I have an eSIM, so I can keep my number. Then when I came over here, I went and got an Italian SIM card, because you need an Italian number for
Mhm.
Italian business purposes, right? And it's with the company Iliad, and I think I pay 20 euros a month.
Okay.
And $15 for my mint.
Okay, so you're
Where
at 35.
previously, when I was with T-Mobile, I was paying, even on the senior citizen one, I know my bill was at least 90, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's already and I have two phone numbers, and I'm not even like at 35, okay?
Yeah.
My my internet is with Tim, and I just got it, and I was so excited. The things we get so excited about. I was so excited that I ordered it online by myself. I told my friends, look what I did. I don't know what I signed up for. Just kidding. Um, and the technician came out, and and I have fiber. I have a modem, but I have fiber, and it's 24 euros a month.
Okay.
I was paying 80 for a fiber in the States.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I
Like, I
know.
get excited. I know I felt like, see, I told people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
So
You're
my
finding
internet
all
is,
these deals and how wonderfully
yeah.
affordable this
Yeah.
beautiful country of Italy is.
Yeah.
What are like the gas and the electric are you thinking?
So I haven't paid a bill yet because I've just been here like 3 weeks. But the estimate that my landlord thought was going to be about 50 euros for electric and gas.
Okay.
Okay. I think houses have like propane and stuff, but condos and apartment buildings would be like, I guess, what, natural gas. I have radiators. That's what I have, a radiator almost in each room. And then this summer, I have their air conditioner units look very different than ours, but I have an air conditioner. And then he also has ceiling fans in each room, which when I was here this summer and it was very hot, the condo I stayed in did not have ceiling fans. Beautiful condo. But I'm like, oh my gosh, wherever I live, I got to have ceiling fans because that will help keep the air cool.
Hmm.
Because it's not a big central air unit like you know we get. So I'm guessing around 50 euros. Even if it was up to 75, I think that, I mean, I'm still, if I add everything up, I would be living still under $1,000.
Yes.
I can't, yeah.
Yeah.
If I go over that, it's for doing fun things, extra fun things, or you know
Hmm.
extra eating out. Not that you can't eat out under that, but what I'm saying in my
Sure.
mind, but I'll know a little more in a
Yeah.
couple weeks.
Yeah. Well, let's break this down a little bit more. So, okay. So let's look at groceries. How much are you estimating per month that you spend on groceries? Do you find that they're a little bit more affordable over there?
So yeah, and I think it depends. Back home, I was a pretty frugal shopper, but you look at ads, I'm still learning that part.
Mm.
Right now, I know the stores. I pretty much go out of necessity. Meaning like I go and I'm not like looking at the ad like I did at home. I am going to start doing that. It's like this few weeks has been a whirlwind with me getting settled. The first week, the first couple times I went grocery shopping, I was building my pantry, so to speak, spices. One thing that you learn here, your refrigerators are small. They're small for a reason
Yeah.
because in Italy, you buy every, well, they have packaged things, but it's all about being fresh. So it's not like you fill your refrigerator with a bunch of stuff. You go every couple days and get what you're going to need for the next couple days.
Hmm.
And not even necessarily for a whole week. And small freezers the same because you're not going to pack it with a bunch of stuff. So I'm guessing, if I just guessed off the top of my head, and because I do cook a lot, I'm going to say, let's say 200 euros
Okay.
I could do in the month. It might even be less than that. I got an Amazon Italian account. I
Ooh.
kept um, uh, my friend Monica said, keep your American one too when you want to send things to people. I thought, I didn't think about that. So I've ordered multiple things on Amazon Italy
Hmm.
because they deliver. That makes
Wow.
it easier for me. Yeah. Uh, I
Perfect.
don't know if it's always the most cost effective. I got to work on that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
So yeah, so that's the exchange rate. So I'm guessing 200, and that might be on the
Yeah.
high side. But
Okay.
I also, like I said, I haven't been looking at sales where I did that a lot at home. Like, hey, if fish is on sale, but that's what I'm gonna have this week. And I just haven't. I'm just buying out of necessity right now
Yeah.
and figuring out what's called what so I know what to ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Kathy, another thing that you mentioned is Wise. Can you
Mhm.
explain why so many people use Wise? What's the benefit of getting or downloading that app and using that?
Okay. So it's actually uh well, it's actually a Belgium bank and I didn't know that at first. I had learned that, like I said, in one of the groups. But you open an account, they have a New York subsidiary, for a
Mhm.
better word. I don't know if that's like the legal term, but there's a New York office that you're dealing with. So you open a Wise account,
Right.
you attach whatever bank account you want to it, right? So you can transfer. So I transfer money out of my credit union into my Wise account.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my Wise account's in US dollars. I can move, I can convert those US dollars into euros, and I got So I have online accounts because I've transferred money to people too. That's
Mhm.
here for business to my landlord. I transfer to his bank account through my Wise account, and it's way cheaper than if I did a wire transfer from my bank in the States. So the rates, okay,
Okay, so
uh,
let's back up a little bit.
okay,
So Wise is a tool. And when you say you sign up, and Wise is WISE. You can
huh,
download this app onto your phone or your computer,
correct,
and then you
correct.
can transfer money into this account, and then you can transfer and it'll convert it into euros for
Hmm.
you, and then it'll transfer the money from the Wise account to your landlord. How does he
Yeah.
access that? How do you send it to him?
So I get his banking information,
I
like
see.
in US. If I was sending you money, I'd say, "Give me your routing number, give me your account number," like I
Okay.
would wire to you. Okay. In Italy, it's their IBAN number and their SWIFT code. Although I told my friends when I enter the IBAN number, the SWIFT code automatically populates. So the system, Wise system, already knows that.
Okay.
Um, yes, I've transferred to multiple people, to my landlord, to other people I needed to do business with.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the difference in savings if you went direct from your account to your landlord as opposed to using Wise? Is it a significant savings or?
I think so because every bank is different, and people would just have to call their bank and say, "What is your international wire transfer um, fee
Okay.
for transferring money?"
Yes.
And also, then I think the timing. Okay. If like I plan ahead. Well, I moved quite a bit of money over into this Wise account. So I'd have it handy. I'd
Yes.
say handy if I needed to convert it
Yeah.
and then pay somebody something.
Yes.
And then it's pretty, if it's not a huge amount, they get it in 10 seconds. I had to, this is an example. I have for my citizenship, I had to get all my translations certified in the court. And there's a guy, Francesco, that did that process for me. So when I went to pick up my documents, he had emailed me an invoice. And so I said, well, I was going to pay him with a credit card, and my credit card declined. See what I mean? It doesn't matter how many times you call them and say, "I'm in Italy, I'm going to
Right.
be using
Oh,
my
I know.
card."
Yes.
And that's all it was. It was a fraud alert. I said, "Never mind. Francesco, give me your banking information." And I opened my Wise account, and he gave me his information. I had him check it because he was sitting there, because you want to be sure, like you would be doing a bank account number, right?
Sure.
I want to be sure I have the right number. And he looked at it, and he had it in about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It was in his account.
Can you use Wise for grocery shopping just to like, is there like a way to scan on your phone or
Well,
something?
so they send you like a debit card.
Oh,
So
okay.
I have a Wise debit card. Um, and
Wow.
that's pretty much what I use. That's
Yeah.
what I've used everywhere I go.
Well,
It's got contactless. You could put it in. I have a pin, whatever you need. So I actually, when I just opened my app, I just ran to it's kind of like a home goods store, like a hardware store. And I have a pending payment because I went and bought some plastic totes uh, and stuff there. And it's on because I use my Wise card.
you can tell you're a terrific researcher because all the savvy expats have Wise, and they clearly save a good amount of money in those transfers. So thanks for
Mhm.
sharing that because that helps the viewers understand the benefit of using an app like Wise.
Mhm.
All right, so the next area that we want to focus on is always one of my favorites. It's food, like
Mhm.
restaurants. So what have you found around your area, town? I mean, what is a typical, what can you get at a local mom and pop? Can you get a meal for? And what do you think, the retiree would need to budget per month going out a couple times a week?
So, there's a wide spectrum of places to go. And I know I even learned this summer, like in even last fall when I went to some different places, not over here. You can go places, and for uh, 10 euros, you're getting a whole pizza. and house wine, and it might even be a house bottle of wine. Or it might be a couple glasses, right? Then you can go someplace else, and that might run you more like 15 euros.
Hmm.
Um, but still, that's still a good price. I took a picture. I wanted to take a picture. There's a place down the street called Zanzibar, and they had a menu. Sometimes they put like sandwich signs out. So I took a picture. I'll share with you so you can share it. It kind of gives some prices. And
Hmm.
they're kind of, to me, like I wouldn't call them a mom and pop, but they're surely not fancy.
Yeah.
And I recently went there. I've only been here 3 weeks. I happened to have a friend come in the first week I was here. She was traveling around, and we went there because we wanted something casual. And we were there for like 4 hours just catching up. We ordered like a antipasto. We asked, just can they make us kind of like a cheese and meat board to start with. Okay. He
Mhm.
didn't have anything on the menu like that, and so they made us one, and our eyes were bigger than our stomach because we also each ordered a pizza, thinking I thought they were a little personal because they were like 7 euros for a
Yeah.
pizza. So when it said 7 euros, oh, that's too small. I have a
Right.
picture of those too. So we ended up bringing a whole one, not home. Yes, we couldn't eat it. So we had the antipasta board, two pizzas, and two bottles of wine. I'm not embarrassed to say we drank two bottles of wine, but we were there quite a long time. And I think uh and did we have a after dinner drink? I can't remember. But it was like 60 euros. And
Okay.
that's the two bottles of wine. That would have
Yeah.
been, you know, which wasn't bad
No.
for, no, not at all. The two, like I said, if you throw in and we didn't do the house wine, we did this Montepulciano because the
Mhm.
Abruzzo has wineries where they are a wine and an olive oil making region. So
Yeah.
it was a local wine. It was very good. So that was one thing. But then I've been another place, like here's a breakfast thing for a cornetto, which is an Italian version of a croissant, and a cappuccino, 3 euros for a quart, and a cornetto's big, and a
Mhm.
cappuccino at this one place, 3 euros.
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrific.
Yeah,
That's ter How
you
much do
can't
you
get
think?
you can't get for 3 euros a Starbucks, right? So
Right. Yeah. So have you figured out, I mean, do you budget at all for like restaurants or do you do any of that or you have an idea
well,
what
I,
people would
I
need?
let me just say I need to before I let
Yeah.
it get out of hand. No, I'm just teasing. But because you could. So
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And
yeah, and you're meeting people, and
I know.
and in the social world in Italy, everything really is around food and drink.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What else have you found that you can do there for fun and things to do?
so I noticed, so in Pineto, there's a cultural center. And I noticed, they put big posters out about everything. I tell you, in Italy, there's always a festival, a feste celebrating something, some saint, something. So you can always go to things. There was just one Saturday. It was two, sometimes I also don't want to drive in the mountains at night, but there was this fire festival that looked really cool. But there was a poster in our cultural center. So they're going to have some kind of theater production.
Mhm.
It's free.
Oh,
So
wow.
some things will be free, but then also you go to the bigger, I don't, Pineto doesn't have its own theater like the bigger towns like Chieti
Yeah.
and Pescara have big theaters, and I would want to go there. But I don't think that the tickets are very expensive.
Mhm.
Maybe 20 euros, maybe 30 euros.
Mhm.
Like there's a place in Pescara that I saw on a poster. It's going to have I guess a ABBA um,
Okay.
cover
Yeah.
show or
Oh,
something
wow.
that would be fun. So
How
there's
far?
always things, but just festivals. I tell you, they have more festivals and parties, which I'm really excited about. I used to, see people's videos and thought, man, that's fun, and they're free. Yes, you can spend money buying things, but in general, it's a free event to go to.
Yeah, a lot of activities it sounds like are free.
Mhm.
How far are you from Piscata?
So it's about 20 kilometers. So it takes about
Okay.
25 minutes. You get on the
Okay.
autostrada from here. Also, the one thing about public transportation along the coast, the train, you can get a train north and south all the way up the
Hmm.
Adriatic coast,
Hmm.
which was also one of the defining things for me.
Yeah.
There are a couple trains, I mean, obviously from Pescata, that will go east-west, but you do have to change so here's an example from Rome to Pescata. There's trains when people come to visit, but you might have to change 3 times on
Okay.
the train where
Hmm.
you can get on a direct bus that's like taking a car 2.5 hours for 20 euros. So
Hmm.
if you fly into Rome, you can get on the bus at the airport
Hmm.
and it'll go straight to Pescara, no stops or anything.
Hmm. What are they charging to go back and forth? What are the trains charge today to jump
To
around?
get to Rome,
Well, even Pescata, and then
oh, that's like Pescata's that's just a couple euros. Just for
okay.
me, like going, yeah, that's just would be a couple euros.
Okay.
Rome, even with all those changes, you might pay. I'm trying to think because I just looked it up for my friend. Maybe 25, maybe not even that much. I might be
Yeah.
getting my things confused. But the
Okay.
bus was, depending, like there's different multiple buses during the day, depending on certain times. One time it might be 18 euros, then another time it might be 22 euros. I'm not
Okay.
sure if it's some like flights. Some flights might be cheaper than other times. I
Yeah.
guess that's what the buses do, but it was great. And the buses are nice. It's not, sometimes we have ideas of buses and
Hmm.
maybe our Greyhound system that we don't think is necessarily great.
Yeah.
Um, the buses are very nice,
Yeah.
the
How
ones that come
far
back and forth.
how far are you from Rome?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's really
Yeah.
a great area to live in. I mean, you're close to it, the major city, Pescara, right on the coast. You're on the coast as well, and then you have access to Rome. That's pretty awesome. All right. So everybody that's watching wants to know about what is the healthcare system like over there, and is it affordable?
Okay. So, to for part of my citizenship, since I'm not a citizen yet, I had to get healthcare coverage, right? They don't want people coming over and draining,
Right.
their system. So, I talked to a guy that is an insurance agent. So I got a year-long policy that even covers a death benefit, and stuff and I paid $368.
For the
Okay.
entire
And
year?
for the entire year.
Okay.
And it
And
covers, my out of pocket, my deductible. I'm not sure because I haven't been to a doctor yet. But here's the interesting part in Italy. When I get on the national healthcare system, which when I become a citizen, I can still opt, you're my doctor. Okay. So I can make an appointment through the system, and you might say, I can't see you, or the receptionist, he can see you in 3 weeks. Or they say, do you want to be private? And I could say, okay, I'll pay private, which means I'm going to pay you out of pocket and not go through the national healthcare system. And I can see you in 2 days. It's just the way the system works. Well, guess what? The out of pocket, I might be paying you 50 euros.
right.
Which is not much for a doctor's appointment, right?
Sure,
I got
sure.
in to see you right away. I know I have a friend that got needed to get an MRI on her knee, and it was like months. She couldn't get an appointment for the MRI for a few months, and she really wanted to find out the severity of the situation. Um, and so she went private to get the MRI. I remember telling this story to my doctor in the States, and he was like shocked. I said, guess how much the MRI was?
Yeah.
130 euros.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. It's
And
crazy.
so that was just so even if you have to pay things out of pocket, it's not terrible. It's not terrible if you have to, and you can buy, you don't have to be a citizen to buy in. You have to be a resident. You can buy into the national healthcare system for
Mhm.
around 2,000 euros a year.
A year. Yeah, so
Yes.
it's still under 200 a month, which is, and they have what how would you describe the quality of the healthcare?
For the most part, I've heard, you know, from everyone, great experiences from non-Italians, all right? Because that's what that's what we're basing it on.
Yeah.
Italians don't what might not have anything to compare it to. But the non-Italians, whether they're new citizens or expats, um, yeah, I've heard good things.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for taking the time to share all this information. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and thank you.
You as well. Thank you. It was my pleasure.